All right, let's dive in. Today we're cracking open the latest investor report from Narayana Health, one of India's biggest healthcare providers. We're going to give this giant a full checkup to see what its financial and operational health really looks like.
So to start, let's just get a sense of the sheer scale we're dealing with. Look at this number, 5,563. What is that? Well, that's how many operational beds Narayana Health runs across its 40 different facilities. Yeah, we're talking about a truly massive network of hospitals and clinics.
And that massive scale, it immediately brings up a huge question, right? How on earth does a network this big, this complex, actually stay financially healthy? It's a huge challenge. So let's follow the money and see what their latest numbers have to say.
Okay, first up, the business of healing. Let's get right into the headline figures, the financial vital signs, to get a quick snapshot of the company's overall health before we dig any deeper.
And right away, the vitals look really strong. In the first quarter of fiscal year 26, they pulled in over 15,000 million rupees in operating revenue. That's a solid 15.4% jump from the year before, and that led to a profit of nearly 2,000 million. So the picture is pretty clear from the get-go. This isn't just a big company, it's a very profitable one.
Okay, that big top-line number is impressive, for sure, but it's really just the beginning of the story. To get what's going on, we have to ask, where does all that money actually come from?
Well, the first piece of the puzzle is their business mix. A huge 73% of their revenue in India comes from hospitals they own outright. Another 25% comes from hospitals they operate. So what does that tell you? It shows their whole strategy is built around having direct control over their core assets, the hospitals themselves. Next up, who's paying the bills? And you know, this part is fascinating. Almost half, we're talking 47%, is from domestic walk-in patients paying directly out of their own pockets. This really shines a light on the Indian market, doesn't it? There's a heavy reliance on individuals, not as much on insurance, which you can see only makes up about a third of their business. And what services are people paying for? This breakdown shows their strategic focus pretty clearly. Cardiac sciences is the king, bringing in a full third of the revenue. Oncology, or cancer care, is another big one at 16%. So you start to realize this isn't just some generic hospital chain. No, it's a powerhouse built on these very complex, high-value specializations. Okay, so we've seen the numbers, but behind every single number on a spreadsheet, there are real people and real stories. So let's shift gears a bit and look at the real-world impact, the stories coming from the wards that this financial engine makes possible. And wow, the list of achievements from just one quarter is pretty amazing. You've got these incredible first-ever procedures, like a new type of aortic valve replacement happening in Raipur. You have brand new oncology facilities opening in Kolkata. This is exactly what we're talking about, that financial success is directly fueling medical innovation on the ground.
But out of all of these, let's just focus on this one story for a second. In Guwahati, a team of doctors successfully treated a 3-year-old child for a rare and aggressive type of liver cancer. This is the human story behind all those revenue charts. A complex, life-saving procedure for a little kid. That's what all that efficiency and all those resources make possible.
All right, so let's zoom back out, because Narayana Health operates all across India, and even internationally. And you can bet that performance isn't the same everywhere. Breaking it down by region gives us a whole other layer of insight into their strategy. So check out this table. It shows how the different regions are performing. And right away, you can see Bangalore is the absolute powerhouse, pulling in 36% of the revenue. But here's the really interesting part. Look at that last column, IPARPP. That's inpatient average revenue per patient, basically how much they make per admitted patient. And look at Bangalore's number. It's way higher than other regions. That means they're not just seeing more patients there, they're making more money from each patient, likely through those more complex, specialized procedures. And you know, their footprint goes way beyond India. In fact, they have a pretty significant operation thousands of miles away from home in the Cayman Islands.
And listen, this isn't some small clinic. This is a serious operation. In just one quarter, that facility in the Cayman Islands brought in over 34 million US dollars. So yeah, this is definitely not a side project. It's a major, profitable international hub for the company.
All right, so we've seen where they are now. But for a company growing this fast, the big question is always, what's next? Well, their report gives us a pretty clear roadmap for the future. And that roadmap is all about one thing: growth. Look at this expansion pipeline up to 2030. They're planning to add well over 1,500 new beds. And notice where they're putting their money. They're doubling down on their strongest markets, like Bangalore and Kolkata. It's a super clear signal of aggressive, focused expansion.
But it's interesting, it's not just about building more hospitals. They have this vision they call Health for All, and it includes some pretty big social and environmental commitments. Things like training over 25,000 medical professionals, performing thousands of free heart surgeries for kids every year, and even aiming to be carbon neutral by 2040. So it really shows a company trying to balance that aggressive growth with a broader sense of responsibility.
And after all this, it kind of leaves us with one big question to think about. We've just seen a picture of healthcare as a massive, incredibly efficient, and powerful business. So as this model succeeds and gets even bigger, what does that ultimately mean for the deeply human relationship between a doctor, a hospital, and the patient at the very center of it all? Something to think about.